Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about a tile laying game. We're going to be talking about In the Footsteps of Darwin, and in this game you'll be moving Darwin's ship, the Beagle, around a track. You'll be taking tiles from a display, putting them on your board, hoping that they will give you enough victory points that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We'll be telling you what we do like, don't like, then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not In the Footsteps of Darwin is worth your time and bother today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel, hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you after this. Bollocks. So, In the Footsteps of Darwin, how'd you play this game? So In the Footsteps of Darwin is a very, very simple and light tile laying game. You're going to put the main board out in the centre of the table. You're going to populate it with a load of tiles. You're going to put the Beagle token on the start space, and each player's going to get a really, really nice looking player board, yeah? So on your turn, you're going to do two things. You're either going to take a tile off the board, whether it's an animal or a character, and then you are going to move the Beagle. So when you take a tile off the central display, you can only take a tile that is in line with the Beagle. So if the Beagle is in the northern position, you can only take a tile from that column, right? You will take the tile, they call it studying an animal in the rulebook, and you'll place it on the relevant spot on the board. You'll see that each tile has a name of an animal, and it will have a region that this animal is located. You'll have to match the region on the animal tile with the region on your player board, yeah? Once you place a tile, then you'll get a reward. You might get some victory points at the end of the game. You might be able to get a compass. These will give you victory points at the end of the game based on the number of compi. Oh, shut up. And the number of charts that you got, right? Charts are another icon on the tiles. They don't do anything, but if you manage to match them up with compasses, then you will be able to get points, yeah? And you'll also be able to hire a guide, right? You can only have 2 guides at once, and you'll be able to use these to move the Beagle 1 space forwards or backwards, or you can use them to discard the 3 tiles that are facing the Beagle and then place them with 3 others. Final icon is emblematic. If you place a tile with the crown symbol on it, then you'll be able to take the Darwin token, and if you're in possession of the Darwin token at the end of the game, it's going to give you an extra 2 points, yeah? No, it don't seem like a lot, but it makes a fucking massive difference because this game is always tight, right? So once you're done placing your tiles, then you get to move the Beagle. Dependent on how many spaces away from the Beagle the tile you took is located, you'll move the Beagle in that number of spaces following the arrows, yeah? So if you took a tile that's 3 spaces away from the Beagle, then you'll move the token 3 spaces. So once you've covered up one of the spaces, then you'd think that you wouldn't be able to put any more tiles down, but you can put tiles on top of another tile. When you do this, you get to develop a theory. You'll be able to take one of the theory tiles from the offer, and this will give you points at the end of the game if you manage to fulfill its conditions. You can also write a publication. If you manage to fill any row or any column with tiles, then you can take a publication tile, and this will give you 5 points at the end of the game. Once the last tile from the draw pile has been used, then the game will end. You'll do a bit of final scoring, get your points from your tiles. You'll get your points for the amount of charts times the amount of compasses that you got. Get 5 points for your publications. You'll check your theories to see how many points you got from them, and also the player with the Darwin token gets 2 points, and then the player with the most points will be the winner of In the Footsteps of Darwin. Do we like about In the Footsteps of Darwin? So the first thing that we really like about this is it looks absolutely fucking amazing, yeah? This game looks like the fucking dog's bollocks. They really pushed the boat out on the production quality of this game, and in a sense, I suppose, for such a light filler game, you could say that this was overproduced. It's almost as if the publishing company, I'm sorry we are French, has sort of neglected the actual gameplay in favour of getting a game out there that looks absolutely stunning, yeah? There's not really that much of a trade-off between complexity and depth in this game and the way it looks, yeah? So I suppose you could say it is style over substance. Not entirely accurate because the game is actually pretty good, but it looks better than it plays in a sort of weird sort of way, you know what I mean? So the second thing that we really like about this game is that you can mitigate the movement of the Beagle with the guide tokens, yeah? If the Beagle had just been moving around its track, then there wouldn't really be any scope for getting back to the places that were missed, and it would be a bit of a cutthroat game. But as such, if you can get the guides, you can sort of plan ahead. If you know that your opponent opponents are going to be making a beeline for maybe the gargantuan worm tile that's usually in my trousers, but for some reason it's found itself in Africa, then you can use your guide tiles to move the beagle back one space or move it forward one space and get the tile that you were actually after. We always like mitigation of luck in games, and this one has it, so it's got to be applauded, right? So the final thing that we like about this game is that it includes an appendix with a glossary of all animals and characters that are on the tiles in this game. It's not really something that I would read, but they have included it in there, so if you do want to know more about a certain type of insect or critter, then you can have a look in the book and it's there. Of course, you can just look it up on the internet, but where's the fun in that, right? You'll be looking at porn again, aren't you? What don't we like? Back in the footsteps of Darwin. So the first thing we don't like about it is the gameplay is, by and large, really, really simple. Maybe a little bit too simple for my tastes, yeah? You're just going to be picking a tile and sticking it down on your board, yeah? There is a little bit more depth to it when you add in the theories, yeah? Like some of the theories might give you some points for each maybe African tile that you got, or maybe each sort of bear tile that you got. But that's as deep as it goes, yeah? It doesn't have that level of strategic depth that a game, say, like Cascadia has got, or even Wingspan. I've heard this game compared to Wingspan, like a light version of that game, yeah? So picking up a tile, placing it on the board, you know, we love that sort of thing in Carcassonne, but it doesn't have that sort of broad number of choices that a game like Carcassonne has just by doing one action. So the second thing that we don't like about this game is that the Darwin theme seems to have been done to death recently, yeah? I can think of like 2 other games that have come out in the last year or 2 with the Darwin theme, yeah? One is On the Origin of Species and another one is Darwin's Journey, and I'm sort of getting a bit Darwined out, you know what I mean? Feels like they've come up with this game and then they thought, well, what theme can we put on this game? And they've chosen a theme that is probably going to put people off, maybe more than likely going to make people just pass it by when they're looking at it on a shelf or online, yeah? We don't need any more Charles Darwin games is what I'm trying to say, yeah? It's a bit of a stuffy theme, yeah? Had this game had a lively theme, then probably would have done better than having Charles Darwin on the cover, right? Not that he's on the cover, just his hand, innit? Holding a pen. At least it ain't a dildo. So the final thing that we don't like about this game is that some of the tiles give you 3 victory points and others give you 1. And if the tile comes out that gives you 3 victory points and you are sort of next to it, then you can pick it up and then nobody else can get it, right? So it's a little bit random. I know we did say that you can use the guides to get it, but if it's not your turn, then you're fucked, yeah? If you're lucky enough to hoover up those 3-point victory tiles, probably going to win over the person that picked up those shitty 1-point tiles, yeah? So to summarise, is In the Footsteps of Darwin worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we are going to say maybe, maybe not. In the Footsteps of Darwin is an okay game, and that is about it. The theme is largely forgettable, and there's been too many Charles Darwin games recently that have come out, yeah. It's getting a little bit boring. There's no real link between the animals and the game itself. There's nothing to say why one animal tile should be worth 3 victory points and one should be worth 1, or why some should have a compass on it and some should have a guide on it, yeah. It is fun moving the beagle around the track to block others, but this doesn't feel like it is the sort of game that warrants extended time on your already crowded shelves, yeah? Am I going to get rid of some of these other games to make room for this one? Probably not. I'm not saying it's a bad game. We did have a lot of fun with it. It's very, very light, but in a crowded sea of other Charles Darwin games, this one is going to struggle to get its voice heard, even though it is pretty good. So there you go. That is In the Footsteps of Darwin. Remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you next time.